Elaine, do you want to go out for dinner?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, what is that? Is not a thing.
Why? What's wrong?
You can't wear a clone trooper helmet with a Jedi outfit.
Why? Which one of us is the Jedi?
Elaine, one more time, for clarity's sake, you are not a Jedi, okay? Right, I give up.
Da 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 da. Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
There was Cheers.
What?
You know, like, first there was Cheers, it was quite funny, it was alright, and then there was Frasier, some say, better.
Like Columbo and Mrs. Columbo.
Really? Out of all the spin-offs in the world, you picked Mrs. Columbo, Mork and Mindy, or I don't know.
Oh, anyway, what's your point?
My point is that this is Star Wars Armada, and it is, in fact, much like Frasier, a spin-off to a very successful Star Wars themed miniature game called X-Wing. And the reason it's very successful is because it is very accessible. You could play it with your friends on a lazy Sunday afternoon, just rolling dice and pushing ships, or, you know, take it really...
Go to tournaments.
Yeah. Nationals, world championships, anything you like, and it's great for all of these things. It's incredibly balanced, it's fun, and hey, it's Star Wars ships. Who doesn't like that? So when Armada was announced, everyone was excited. Everyone wanted to see what the next game in the line would be, especially because everyone really wanted to see Imperial Star Destroyers in the Star Wars miniature game, and we finally get to have that. So the main question that we have today for you is it going to be Frasier to Cheers? Is it going to be as successful or possibly even better than X-Wing?
Or is it going to be Joey to Friends?
Yeah, and the other question that we have, and we feel like it is very important, with the £80 retail price tag, is this box actually worth it?
The similarities that Armada shares with X-Wing aren't so much in the game mechanics themselves, but more in the design ethos. So you have these nice cards representing your ships, just like in X-Wing, and you have command dials and you have speed dials. But unlike in X-Wing, rather than having damage tokens, the damage is represented on the ships themselves. So you have these little wheels where you can see how much damage each shield has taken, and on your squadrons you just turn this to show how much damage that's taken. Now that seems a bit fiddly, and it is kind of fiddly, but actually that's really worth it, because rather than fiddling around with cards and looking at things and trying to find what damage you've taken for what ship, you feel like a proper commander in the midst of battle. You're not looking at graphs, you're not looking at screens, you're looking at your port side going, oh my god, that's taken a huge amount of damage. I can't fly towards this battle with that side of my ship, I'm going to have to turn it around because my starboard side is fine and has loads of shields. And that's why it's really good, and that's why it's really elegantly designed, and that's not the only good thing about the game.
Generally, in life, we are lost and alone, and we don't know where we're going or what we're doing, and we could really use the help of a maneuver tool. Now, thankfully, Star Wars Armada does come with a maneuver tool, much like in X-Wing, but unlike X-Wing, again, this is quite different. Now, in X-Wing, you will have, you know, preset maneuver tools, and they're going to go where they're going to go, and they're going to go as far as they're going to go. However, in Armada, each of your ships has different speed values, and attached to certain speed values are certain yaw values. And yes, that does mean you can use the word yaw, which is incredibly fun. And also, unlike in X-Wing, you are allowed to pre-measure, so your speed is set. You often don't have a lot of control over how fast you're going to go, but you have control of how you're going to bank. So let's say if your speed is 2, you can adjust the maneuver tool as so, and then pre-measure, and then see exactly where you're going to go and how much you're going to, once again, yaw, and go all the way there. And the number one problem with this is that it's not very well built. For example, ours came a little bit sloppy. This is not as clicky as you would like to be. As you can see, the top end is actually very nice and very solid and very clicky, but the bottom one is not. And it's rather bland and sort of blah. It does give you the potential to paint it however you like if you're of the artistic persuasion. However, I do like it because I think there is a lot of potential in this maneuver tool, and you can see already, for example, there is no ship in the game so far that can do this, which is pretty much turning around 180 degrees, but the maneuver tool does allow for it. So you're wondering, is there going to be a ship in the future that will just turn around on its own accord whenever it wants to? Because right now movement feels, and this is not my words, this is from Quinn's review of Armada and Shut Up and Sit Down, and I couldn't come up with a better analogy, but it's like a giant cow, you know, on ice skates, just flying completely out of control. And I really tried, I can't come up with anything better than that, except apart to say that it's not necessarily maybe a cow, it's a 11 megaton steel Hulk flying through space. Come on, Elaine, I'm doing this all on my own for like the last 3 scenes. What are you even doing here?
I'm meditating.
Meditating? Meditating? I'm doing this all on my own.
I'm meditating because I'm trying to decide what I'm going to plan to do in 3 turns, whether I'm going to navigate or repair, or I'm using my Jedi Fu to help me decide.
Jedi Fu? Jedi Fu? Really? Each game of Armada consists of 6 rounds, and each round is split into 4 phases. Now the first phase is the set and reveal command dial phase. Each command dial has 4 values: navigate, engineering, focus fire, and squadrons. And each of them are important for different reasons, and all of them equally beneficial. Now, the clever part about this is that some ships have more than one command dial, and you might be thinking, well, do I get to reveal all 3 of them at the same time? That's good, right? No, actually, it's very thematic and very brilliant. So if you take this giant lumbering Imperial Star Destroyer, it has 3 command dials, and you only ever get to reveal the top one, and 1 per round. And when you set your command dial, you set it underneath the other ones. That means that whatever you shout down the bridge of an Imperial Star Destroyer, let's say you want to activate your squadrons, well, that's going to reach the squadron bay only like 20 minutes later, when it's far too late, and you reveal it half a game later and go, why did I even do that? Well, never mind, I know, I'll set it to focus fire this time. And then another half of the game later, you realize that the game is actually over and you didn't even need to do that. But the great thing about this is that even if you set it to something that you can't necessarily use on that turn, when you reveal it, you can expend it. For example, if you set it to navigation, which is, by the way, the only way in the game right now how you can change your ship's speed, if you set it to navigation, you can just take a navigation token and you can use it later. So you don't need to use it right now, and it's a clever strategy because you might, for example, be thinking, actually on the first turn, whatever I reveal in the commander, I'm not going to be using it. So you set it to something that you can use later on, and that way save up on important boosts that will give you benefits throughout the game.
But that's not it, because shooting and moving are also really strategic. And it is in that order, shooting and then moving. And that's what's so neat and so different about this game. Because you might be thinking, okay, well, if I just move my Corvette, I can whack the Star Destroyer. But actually no, because you're going to shoot before you get to move into your ideal position. There is no such thing as pilot skill in this game. It's all based on initiative, based on the amount of points you have in your Armada. And if you have 2 ships, you can decide which one you want to activate first, and then the other player will get to activate theirs, and then you'll get to activate your other one, and so on. And so you're always thinking about, okay, who's got initiative, where am I going to move, where are they going to move, and all that kind of thing. And then you're also thinking about, where am I going to shoot from? So you're wondering, okay, well, if I move into this position, can they hit me before I can hit them? And you can see on here there's 4 different hull points that you can shoot from, and you can shoot from them twice, and each one has a different dice value. So these little red and blue pips on here, for example, represent the dice you can use. So this one, if I'm going to shoot from my front hull, I can use 2 red dice and 1 blue dice. But again, that's not it, because it depends how far away from the other ship I am as to whether I can actually use this. So if I measure here, I can actually only use my red dice because I'm out of range to use the blue one. So all I can shoot for is the red dice and hope that I get the result that I want.
Welcome to Combat with FK. Now, the first thing I'm going to be teaching you is to how properly use your dice. First of all, obviously, you're going to be wanting to be as close to your opponent as possible so you can roll 6 dice all together. When you roll all these things, you're really hoping you're going to get one of these. Now, you don't want many of them, but you do want at least one. And that result, my young Padawans, means accuracy. Accuracy is really important because unlike X-Wing, again, this game uses no defense ties, but instead uses tokens. So for example, a Nebulon B frigate uses 2 brace tokens and 1 evade token. And essentially what they do is they mitigate damage, but they all do so in very different ways. For example, some will let you redirect damage from one hull side to another hull side, whereas a brace token will just let you mitigate half of it, which is very useful. So what the accuracy result does effectively is it lets you stop your opponent from using a specific defense token that they have, which is great. Now, Imperial Star Destroyers are not the only things that shoot in this game. And I mean, obviously there's the Corellian Corvette and then there's the Nebulon B frigate, but what I'm actually talking about here is squadrons. Now, these little guys, on their own, they're not very effective because after each ship has attacked and moved, the ship phase ends and we go into the squadron phase. Now, during the squadron phase, instead of using this maneuver tool, we use this side of the range ruler, and you get to activate each of your squadrons once. And actually the way you do it is really clever because the initiative token is double-sided for red and blue. So if the initiative is on the blue side, you get to activate each ship squadron that has the blue bit sticking out. And once you have activated that squadron, you will push this up and it's red, and then you will be able to use it next turn because next turn you will flip this to red. Anyway, once you activate these little puppies, you get to either move or shoot with them, which makes them rather slow, dull, and ineffective. But you have to be very clever with them. You have to position them just in the right way. And they work actually very similarly to pawns in chess, whereas on their own, they're nothing special, but if you move them just right, you can either sacrifice them or, you know, like just create a group of them that will sort of have this knockoff effect of, well, there's just not one, but there's 2, 3, 4, and they are blocking your way and doing all kinds of nasty little things to you. And, you know, once you do get in the right position and you do just get to activate them and attack with them, they might tear a ship apart. And the best part is, remember I was talking about these command dials? Well, if you set your command dial to squadrons, you get to activate your squadrons and they all get to move and attack, which is brilliant.
My honest opinion of this game is that it's really, really fun. I like how the range rulers work, I like how the ships look, I like the mechanics of the game. It just kind of works. But there is that niggling point of the price of the starter set. So for 80 quid, what do you expect to get in this box? You think you're going to get loads of tokens and cards and ships, and you kind of do, but most of the box is filled up by this nice Fantasy Flight Canyon. So this game is more expensive than Terra Mystica or Comet, or even Twilight Imperium, and where you get lots and lots of things in those games, lots of components. the core set is really great for if you want to kind of dip your toe in the water and see whether you like it or not. And, you know, if you're anything like me, you can dress as a Jedi and feel really cool while you're playing it. But it's a little bit like thinking, do I want to go on a beach holiday? Do I even like beaches? I know, instead of going to Bognor for the day, I'll go to Tahiti for a week. But that might not be such a bad thing.
Now, Elaine has a good point. Why would you want to spend that much money on a game? It is incredibly expensive. It's not just incredibly expensive. It is possibly one of the most expensive board games out there. You know, on par with maybe Warhammer 40k, and oh my god, that was painful, right? And like, you still probably want to buy it. I think you do. I think if you're watching this review, you want to buy this game deep in your heart. And I imagine half of you probably have already bought it because it has Star Wars ships in it, and you just did. But the other half are probably thinking, I want to get this. I really do. There's something about it that just appeals to me, and maybe because, you know, when you're a kid you watch Star Wars and it changed your life forever and you want to love it forever and ever and ever, no matter that it's owned by Disney now. But you are not sure because you're not sure if this is good enough and if you want to spend £80. Well, to those of you, I have exactly two answers. One of them is buy this game and the other one is don't buy this game. Now, you want to buy this game if you don't want to play in tournaments, because if you don't want to play in tournaments, this is perfect for your lazy Sunday afternoon with your friend or with your partner, you know, rolling dice, moving ships about and having a lot of fun. I promise you, you're going to get it. It's going to be great. But if you are one of those people who play X-Wing in tournaments and you're thinking, is this the next tournament miniature game, then quite possibly not. And the problem with that is that not only is it going to be incredibly expensive for you, but you're going to find very, very few shops who are actually going to run it. This table, we've set up this area which is 3x3. Now 3x3 is fine for a starter game, but eventually armies are going to be 300 points, and then when wave 2 comes out, they're going to move on to being 400 points, and a tournament round will last 2.5 hours long and will require a 6x3 table, which is larger than this, my friends. This is a 3x5 table. This is a 3x5 table. Why did we not buy a 6x3 table?
And that's not it. We haven't even spoken about everything in the game. For each scenario, you can choose an objective card, which will change the way that you're playing the game. And you can even play with Luke Skywalker, who's got this fantastic ability where he ignores shields, so you can get right in and smack their hull straight away.
And Peter Cushing, you can play with Peter Cushing.
Dracula.
Yeah, and Grand Moff Tarkin, obviously. You have to in the core set. And he does cost a hefty 38 points, but we will give each of your ships an extra command token, which kind of opens up this strategy of having as many ships as possible. But we run into the obvious problem of the core set again, because you have to have him because he's the commander, and you only have one Imperial ship in this core set. So again, back to this to and fro where yes, the core set is great, but it's expensive, but you know, there's a lot of potential in this game. And on the buy, play or stay away scale, I'm going to completely cop out and say, I hope I help you make your mind up about whether you want to buy this or not. For me, it's a definite buy because I'm the person that really likes Star Wars ships and I just want to have them all.
And for me, it's a definite play. Like if you've got a friend that's got it, yeah, go and play, have a good time and see if you like it enough. And if you do, then buy it yourself. Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling, tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Quite stylish.
And maybe I seem a bit confused, but baby, I got you pegged. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They're calling again. Scrambled eggs all over my face. What is a boy to do? Subscribe, everybody.